How good is LaMelo Ball actually? The youngest Ball brother has been on the rise since joining the league, and if we take away the current injury, he's on a path of becoming an NBA star player. However, if your father is LeVar Ball, your career will not go without critics, drama, or media trying to find any flaw they could find about you. LaMelo has been on both ends of the spectrum. Some called him the future best point guard in the league, while some went so far as to say he's a bust and won't be anything more than an average player who can get minutes only on a bad team. Both statements are overreaching a bit, so today we'll dive into LaMelo's journey all the way from Chino Hills to becoming the face of the Charlotte Hornets. Hello again, basketball fans, and welcome back to Hoop Vision. We all know LaMelo's background story. The youngest of three brothers, LeVar pushed all of them to succeed. Lonzo and LaMelo made it to the league, LiAngelo didn't. Although Jello averaged 1 steal per game on UCLA's international campaign, he couldn't catch up to his brother in other aspects of basketball. Anyhow, the days of all three of them bullying high school teams are over, so it's time to look at LaMelo as a grown man instead of just one of LeVar's promising kids. His rookie year was nothing short of amazing, which absolutely resulted in him winning Rookie of the Year award in 2021. LaMelo averaged 15.7 points, 6.1 assists, and 5.9 rebounds on 43% from the field, which showed everyone he wasn't just a product of his dad's hype. The youngest Ball was able to ball. What makes this feature more impressive was the fact that he started in a little bit over half of games. The struggle he had in the preseason made the coach use him off the bench at first. Just 1 month into the league, LaMelo missed his first triple-double by just 1 assist against the Cavs, scoring 12, catching 10 rebounds, and dishing out 9 successful passes. The next game against the Hawks, he'd break a record for becoming the youngest player in the NBA to record a triple-double. LaMelo went on to score 22 points, had 12 boards, and 11 assists at only 19 years and 140 days old. The record is no longer his, as Josh Giddey managed to capture a triple-double while being 19 years, 84 days old, but that was an impressive achievement nonetheless. Everything seemed to go well for the young point guard, and he was named Eastern Rookie of the Month twice in a row. Started his first game against the Miami Heat, and just days later went on to record a career-high 34 points against the Jazz. In March, however, his streak of good luck ended as he suffered an injury that sidelined him for a month. It was just a minor wrist bone fracture, so nothing career-altering to worry about, but it definitely cost him the momentum. Maybe his rookie stats would have been even better if it wasn't for the injury, but regardless, LaMelo did enough that season to win the Rookie of the Year and hint at an even better year too. In a season opener against Indiana, LaMelo put on a show, hitting 7 3-pointers along with 9 boards and 7 assists. The headlines were quick to jump to conclusions, and they were right. That one game was just an indicator of what kind of season he'd had. Not long after, almost every one of LaMelo's games would be better than the previous one. The next month, he put up a career-high 14 assists against the Wizards, then a new career-high 36 points in Milwaukee. That career high wouldn't last long, as he went on to top it against the Celtics with an amazing performance of 38 points and 9 assists. All these games could only result in one thing: LaMelo Ball being an all-star. He may have gotten in as an injury replacement for KD, but still, making the all-star game in your second year is a respectable feat. That season was where he made the biggest leap forward. Points went up to 20.1 per game, followed with 7.6 assists and 6.7 rebounds, and at 38% from downtown. LaMelo was starting to develop into a true facilitator, and his first 2 seasons were more than promising to consider how big of a boost his stats had received. He was also surrounded with a nice squad of PJ Washington, Montrezl Harrell, Kelly Oubre Jr., Terry Rozier, and Gordon Hayward. The problem was many of those guys were too inexperienced at that time, and if you take a look at PJ Washington, for example, it's more than obvious they didn't fully complement each other's strengths like the guys at Dallas are doing right now. However, the team ended that season with a solid 43-39 record, but lost the play-in game to the Atlanta Hawks. When you think about players starting to take over, it usually happens in their 3rd or 4th year. D Rose was MVP in his 3rd season, and although no one expected that for LaMelo, no one probably saw what actually happened either. He managed to battle his way through 36 games carrying along 3 different ankle injuries, the last one being season-ending. His broken right ankle required surgery, forcing him to miss the rest of that year, and knocking down the Hornets to the number 14 spot in the East, with a disappointing record of 27-55. Just for comparison, their offensive rating during the previous season was 9th in the league, and after LaMelo's injury, they've ended dead last in this category, 30th out of 30. Before breaking his ankle, Melo was on another nice run, averaging 20 23.9 points, 8 assists, 5.9 rebounds, and 1.8 steals per game. Despite how awful the Hornets looked at times, he was improving in every category, and most importantly, on defense as well. The last person to blame Charlotte's lack of success should be LaMelo. It's fair to say he's the only bright spot of the entire franchise, considering some of their front office moves. This season was even worse, as they ended it with a 21-61 record. The only teams below in the East were the Wizards and Pistons, but to be honest, it's hard doing worse than them. After signing a contract extension in July, Melo returned to basketball and things seemed pretty fine. He started the season strong with a triple-double against the Mavs, scoring 30 points, 13 assists, and 10 boards. However, after playing 22 games for Charlotte, the same injury came back to haunt him and team doctors had to pull the plug early in the season. It's still early to tell how this will affect his career, but if he continues to have these problems down the road, things aren't looking good for the youngest of Ball brothers. At the beginning of his career, Steph Curry had similar issues with his ankles, which troubled him for a couple of seasons before his physician found the cause of frequent injuries. There was something wrong with Curry's hips and tendons, so when he put in the work on strengthening them, he never had the same injury again, at least not that severe. Maybe LaMelo doesn't suffer from the same problem, but it wouldn't hurt to explore every option out there to make sure his career doesn't get plagued by injuries later in his 20s and early 30s. Now that Charlotte has Seth Curry on their roster, he might offer an advice or two and connect Melo with Steph's doctors. Melo's future with the Hornets is fixed for another 5 years and a guaranteed $215 million. If he comes back from injuries and continues from where he left off, cool, but if he doesn't, the franchise is in trouble. Just take a look at what happened to Chicago. They basically overpaid everyone and nailed themselves to the ground over the last couple of years. Yes, Lonzo was a promising young star, but there were multiple reports about his injury proneness. They went for him anyways, and now he's been away since 2022. Just hear what they had to pay in the 2023 and 24 season. Zach LaVine, $40 million. Nikola Vucevic, $18 million. DeMar DeRozan, $28 million. Add Lonzo's $20 million on top of that, and you have a disaster. The only upside is DeRozan will probably be leaving in free agency, and LaVine wants out despite being locked in until 25 and 26. So if he finds someone willing to accept his salary, he's gone too. Charlotte may not have the same problem since Melo is their only player with a huge contract, so it's not like they've shut all the other doors by paying him. But if he follows the same path like his brother, he'll be impossible to trade while costing the franchise almost $40 million every season. However, this is just the worst case scenario and unlikely to happen if both the organization and LaMelo do everything they can to complete the rehab. The positive sign is they didn't force him to play, but advised him to end the season right then and there, proving they see him as the face of the franchise in the future. Right now, their roster is not among the competitive ones, but they could slowly add different pieces with potential to make the Hornets a contending team in the East. They're one of the youngest teams in the NBA, with an average age of 25, but that's just because they have Seth Curry who's 33, Bertans at 31, and Micic at 30. Without those guys, they'd be literally babies in terms of roster age. However, their presence is more than valuable since Curry and Bertans add the much-needed three-point shooting, and Micic shouldn't be underestimated as a former EuroLeague MVP. At the end of the day, at 6'8" tall and with such skills, nobody can say how high LaMelo's ceiling is, but he'll have to put in extra work to remain healthy and save his career from becoming another sad story ruined by injuries. However, the injuries might not be his fault. LeVar Ball might have played a big role in hurting all of his sons' careers. Make sure to check the darker side of LeVar's story in our other videos. That's it for today, dear friends. We hope you've enjoyed this one. Let us know in the comments, what do you think of LaMelo and what should Charlotte do to become competitive? Thank you for watching and growing this channel. Make sure you don't miss out on more NBA stories by hitting that subscribe button. And I'll see you in the next one.